Hey everyone, off the top rope here on the Off the Mic Sports Network, reacting to some of what happened on AEW Dynamite. Largely, last couple of Dynamites have been pretty good. Collision was pretty good over the weekend. In seeing some of the clips that have come out, very good crowds, a lot of energy in the Austin area. I mean, Texas typically brings good crowds. So one big takeaway, and this show was actually taped ahead of time. So anybody who was looking for the rah-rah speech in reaction to Ricky Starks showing up on NXT on Tuesday, this show was recorded basically at the same time that NXT was going on. So there was no way for Tony Khan to know that Ricky Starks was going to show up in NXT. So unfortunately, in a weird way, them actually taping this and traveling might have actually done him a favor because Tony Khan didn't have to stick his foot in his mouth and do something unnecessary. Really, the big story for me of what transpired and what has kind of been going on, it's been something that I've been talking about really since about the time that Jon Moxley won the AEW World Championship. I've maintained for a large chunk of 2024 since he came back in July to now, Hangman Adam Page is the cream of the crop in AEW. And he might be, like, depending on how you feel, and I know there's a lot of WWE fans who are just going to, migrate to who they like. Hangman deserves to be thought of as one of the best performers working in any promotion. Just from his character work to his wrestling, this guy has it all. And I did not fundamentally understand how I get the Ryan Danielson giving him the moment, but the better thing for the company was to go with Hangman Adam Page as your world champion. But now what they've done and what they've potentially got created right in front of them is a chance for Hangman Adam Page to save this company, both literally and figuratively in storyline, because the reactions that he is getting are starting to go back to 2021 when they came out of COVID and it was some of the best crowds and some of the best story that maybe this company had delivered. Ironically, the best stories that they've had have been involving Hangman Adam Page. You've had the Swerve Strickland arc and that whole story. You had the whole thing with Kenny Omega and him winning the world title. And so just seeing this metamorphosis of seeming like he went down the evil route. Now he's feeling a lot more conflicted. And now he's got this whole thing going on with MJF where MJF's challenging him, saying that you're full of shit and you really are not, you don't have that killer instinct. I see the weakness in you. You're not going to act out on these things. You're second guessing yourself, going back to Swerve, second guessing, ending Christopher Daniels' career, even though I didn't think you needed to use that to get to where we are. But what you saw on Wednesday night's Dynamite was a good example of what AEW can do when they stay out of their own way, because it's clear what the fans want. They want Hangman Adam Page as the world champion again. And I don't know how they can string this out long enough to make this work, but you absolutely have to have Hangman Page win the world title at All In, if not sooner. And I think that's where this is probably going. I'm a little bit worried with, Revolution coming up and it now being Adam Copeland and Jon Moxley, so Christian Cage out there with that briefcase. But Hangman Adam Page is going to be the babyface and could potentially save this company. Could potentially save it. But they've got to do, but I don't have a ton of faith that this company in Tony Khan is going to do the right thing, because on some level, I understand why they went with Bryan Danielson last year to be the one to dethrone Swerve Strickland, even though from a storyline perspective, all that was really there was to give Bryan Danielson his swan song before he goes off into the sunset. And, Tony Khan's a mark. He loves Bryan Danielson. He loves him to death. Who doesn't love Bryan Danielson? I mean, there's probably a few people out there who don't love him, but, you guys are just haters. To me, he's one of the greatest wrestlers to ever do this. But let's be real. Hangman Adam Page should have been the one to dethrone Swerve, given the story and the narrative that they had spun for over a year. They didn't do that, and AEW is completely suffering because of it. But if you want to light a fire under this company and do something, first of all, you've got to do MJF and Hangman, which shockingly has not been explored as a one-on-one program at all, really outside of, early AEW 2019 when when Hangman was going after, the world title when this company was in its infancy. Shockingly, this has not been explored. These are two of the most recognizable and big time faces in this promotion's history. And they really have not had a lot of path crossing in the last 5-6 years. So the fact that they're exploring this now is certainly interesting. And it's damn sure better than Jeff Jarrett getting time. So I like what I saw and what I've seen in the last couple of weeks, specifically with Hangman being featured a lot more prominently. I don't know what happened in the last few months, but you have him and MJF potentially on a collision course to potentially see who goes after the world title next. And you heard the crowd. If you were watching that show and if you were in attendance there, that place went ballistic for Hangman. This is literally what happened 3.5, 4 years ago when Hangman was the most over guy in this place. And he was getting the cowboy shit chance. Like, everybody loves this guy. And this arc has kind of re-energized how we feel about him. The kind of darkness to him and even more of the badass element of the cowboy shit that he's always done. Again, I'm not very optimistic that AEW is going to do the right thing here, but if anybody can save this company as of right now, it's Hangman Adam Page, absolutely. And to me, he is to me, like, everybody will talk about Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega being the guys to potentially, take down the Death Riders. I'll be honest with you, I'd be fine. To me, far and away, the best option to end this and be the hero that AEW needs after everything that we have seen in the last couple of years with this whole, arc that started with Swerve Strickland, is for Hangman to get this done and be the one to dethrone Jon Moxley, his longtime rival, ironically, with, some of the craziest, most batshit crazy matches I've ever seen in my life. But that's where you need to go with this. And, I might be okay with some of the other options, but to me, if Adam Copeland wins the world title, that's not going to do a damn thing. If Christian Cage is there, that doesn't do a damn thing. I'd be okay with Kenny Omega, but he doesn't need it. He doesn't need to be world champion. Will Ospreay has got many years left. At least if this company stands on, it can stand up and, overcome a lot of this bullshit that's been going on with it. But to me, the only answer to, saving AEW from the Death Riders and this creative decline that they're in is, in my opinion, the best guy in their company in Hangman Adam Page. So that's my thoughts on this. We'll have a couple more videos coming in reaction to this show. All in all, like I said, AEW going into this Grand Slam Australia show, no matter how I feel about it, they've done a pretty good job of, on short notice, really, putting together a show that they really clearly didn't give a shit about, to make you care. It's an interesting show. So anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.